not the flesh, it's the spirit. We need discernment. It's scary to have it all figured out and you still don't know what's coming. If I say Jesus is coming, then people think it's funny. But all these kids believe in tooth fairies and mummies. I thought Easter was about Jesus. They replaced him with a bunny. Distractions give us more faith in Santa Claus than our Savior. How come the letters in Santa also spell Satan?
This week on Just on Faith, we're discussing Santa versus Satan in the spirit of Christmas. We did have a song that was suggested by Jessica. I forget the name of the artist, but the title of the song is Witchcraft Part 1. Kieran, I believe his name, Kieran the Light.
Kieran the Light. That's
yes.
It.
And he has a song series, a 4-part song series called Witchcraft, where he goes into detail about several of the myths, legends, folklore, and how they correlate to Christian and, how people perceive them. I think he talks about the tooth fairy, the Easter bunny, and he made mention of Santa Claus. Now, the whole Santa Claus part, these specific mentions aren't very long-winded detailed. The songs are very short, but we thought because Christmas is coming up that we'd focus on the Santa versus Satan. Did anyone have any thoughts or opinions on that?
I guess I'll just clarify. I think it's like the theme around the song is more like things that have been normalized, which may not fully align with our Christian beliefs, but like are so common that we feel like don't think about it or don't question it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I thought this one was interesting. A lot to dissect. Like I grew up not loving Christmas, but like reflecting on that, I'm like, why wouldn't I love it? Like celebrating Jesus's birth, like what isn't there to like? And I realize it's like the commercialization of Christmas that I don't appreciate, and like the presents, and then digging into the Santa piece, it's like a lot of expectations around Christmas and this fictitious person to provide everyone with like this amazing gift. And I don't know.
Yeah. My thoughts are kind of the same. I feel like especially when you're young, like Christmas, obviously me growing up in church, Christmas wasn't just about Santa Claus. It was centered around Jesus's birth and, why we should be giving thanks. Jesus is the reason for this season, giving thanks for Jesus, and his birth and his sacrifice and, just him being, alive and present. And Santa was kind of like, a secondary kind of thing, like, oh yeah, and we can take pictures with Santa at the mall. And my parents weren't really, Santa gives you all these gifts during Christmas, and like he eats the cookies. Sometimes parents will set up that whole fake scenario and stuff like that. They did a little bit, like they'll be like, oh, Santa got you this, but it'd be like one gift. It wouldn't be like all the gifts. Obviously they'd be like, this is from grandma, this is from your brother, this is from me, whatever. Because they wanted to kind of instill that Christmas wasn't just about gifts, obviously, but it's also about being grateful for things, having to receive things, because even when you didn't get what you wanted, like socks or pajamas or things that you didn't really necessarily want as a kid, to be grateful regardless and just show that appreciation. And then as you get older, being able to provide that same gift or sentiment to other people. And of course, God, Jesus being at the forefront, being grateful and just being aware that his gift to the world was him being born, Christmas morning, 6 a.m. every year. And then let Christmas land on a Sunday. We were at church all day because they had the 6 a.m. morning service. And then we would go eat breakfast. And then we would come back to church for the regular service. So yeah, I didn't really experience that whole, I guess I did a little bit, but not in a sense of like secular world Christmas. Yeah. What about you, Jessica?
I mean, for me growing up, definitely was more, I guess, of a secular Christmas rather than like a Christian's Christmas. So I'm not gonna say the focus was Santa, but heavily played a part. We were the household that did the cookies and, you know, writing your list and all that, those good things. It probably wasn't until I got a little bit older that it kind of switched. And then as I continued to get older, you know, the real meaning started to really kind of like kick in and like what the actual focus was, and less on the gifts and, you know, all the commercialized, you know, aspects of Christmas that the world pushes. So I thought I was trying to pull up the lyrics to that song and I couldn't, but there was like one line where he said something like, um, Santa is basically like a distraction for our faith or something like that, which leads to the whole Santa versus Satan, because then in the following line after that, he says like, why, how come the letters in Santa also spell out Satan? And that stuck out to me because I was like, wow, I never really thought about that. And I really had to sit there and I was like spelling out Santa. I was like, it really does.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was an interesting way to put that, because while I'm not saying Santa's Satan, um not saying that, but I agree with him saying that, you know, like it is a distraction, like Santa is a distraction, right? Because you know, to the world, like that is what Christmas is, right? It is fully about like I was about to say Satan, about Santa, well, Satan too, but it's fully about Santa and gifts and all that stuff, reindeers and elves and all that, right? But as believers, we know that Christmas is about the birth of Jesus, right? Like that's literally what it's about, him coming into the world. And so I feel like we do get distracted, you know, by the commercialization of Christmas, and like the materialistic side of it. And sometimes it is easy to forget, or ignore like what the real reason for the season is.
Yeah. I know, I felt, because initially just thinking of Santa, Satan, like that line from the song, I was going with all the negative things that this could, like, where we could go, like, okay, lies, being deceitful, that aligns more with Satan, like, you know, tricking your kids into believing in Santa and making this whole big deal about it. I guess on the flip side, like more positive, I feel like that could be a way to like jump into faith, or like ease into faith of like, oh, you have this really strong belief in this magic and this wonderful stuff that is true in God, and like just shift your focus from Santa to Jesus and God. And like I feel like it could be a really positive thing, and just recentering on like where the actual magic happens.
I love how you said that, because actually when you think about it, like, you know, kids only see Santa, I mean, obviously in movies and stuff, but like when they go to the mall, sit on Santa's lap or whatever, but they don't see him throughout the night dropping off presents, but they always believe that those presents will be there in the morning, right?
And that he hears everyone at the same
Here's
time.
everything. He can go to everyone's house in one night, you know, like he knows exactly what you've done all year,
So
right?
correlating that belief to Jesus in the same kind of breath, like, you know, they've just kind of formulated towards Santa, and you know, instead of like, you know, what Jesus really represents and what he does for us every day, you know. And I had a YouTuber, I was watching a YouTuber, and she was pretty much talking about the same, well, it wasn't really the same topic, but she was discussing how she wasn't really brought up to be religious. She didn't really go to church unless it was for like Christmas or Easter. And even when she did go, it was very performative, like you know, going to a mega church on Christmas or Easter, it's not really about the word really. at that time. They're making it, not to say it's a bad thing to have that at your church, but like for someone who doesn't really have a relationship, all you see is the performance, the dance, the plays, you know, they don't really hear the word and like what the actual reason is for why we are here today. And she just kind of correlated Christmas for like, she called it a Hallmark holiday. So like the family, the friends, the presents, the trees, the music, you know, it was more of a Hallmark idea rather than just, you know, understanding like where the actual meaning came from. And it's not like she's, you know, young or anything. She's pretty, I mean, she's our age. So I'm assuming she has had some kind of interaction or exposure to Christianity or all kinds of, you know, religions. So she has had some kind of insight on like what Christmas is. It's just, you know, choosing which you want to, you know, choose for your family and what you want to be like, oh, this is what we correlate with, you know, the Santa part of it, rather than, you know, which is, but it seems so contradicting because it's like, if you believe in Santa and you believe that he does all this stuff, and I'm not saying she does, but like obviously kids do, then what's so far-fetched about, you know, believing in Jesus and like what he has done for us all year long and what he's provided for us? And like, it's the season for giving, but what has he given us all year? Like, how has he provided for us, you know, day in and day out, like even the things that we can't see. And that was like a big part of service. And like, I don't know if you guys watched service on Sunday, but it was just, you know, the spirit was moving. But it was just like the things that God has done for us that we don't even know that he's done, you know, the things that happen in the that will happen in the future that we can't even see yet, the things that he's kept us from that we didn't even know that we were being kept from. Like that just blows my mind. And I know I'm kind of getting off track, but it's just, you know, it's seeing all those things and seeing like how people can not relate the two and be like, if you can believe in Santa, you can definitely believe in Jesus, you know?
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, me personally, like, I don't think Santa's bad, right? Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with Santa. I think for me, like, you know, when I have kids in my household, like, I totally will be okay with my kids knowing about Santa and getting excited about that. But they also will know the reason for the season, you know, like they will know God, they will have faith. And so I don't feel like if you believe in God, you cannot celebrate, you know, and have Santa. I don't, me personally, I don't think it's like a either or kind of thing, you know. I think it's just when you don't recognize the real meaning and the real importance for what it is that you're even celebrating, that's when it's a problem, right? So if you're only focused on Santa and the gifts and all that other stuff, and you ignore completely the reason why it's even a holiday in the first place, then that's when it's a problem, I think.
For sure. For sure. And incorporating more Black Santas. I love seeing Santas
Girl, yes.
there.
Oh my God. So this year, I think, was the year Home Goods.
I've been seeing that. They've been having a lot of Black Santas.
Yeah, I was like, okay, it is about time.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you see them sprinkled here and there, but like the stores are really, and not saying Santa needs to just be Black, but like let him be a representation of everybody. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's not fair for someone to be like, okay, well, why is everyone in my life have to, you know, be white, or why is the representation just for one race of people?
Yeah.
You know, make it inclusive, make it so that, you know, kids, you know, feel represented, like, you know.
Yeah. I am curious, like outside of the US, if that's also the case. Like
Right.
on a more global scale of like, okay, is that true across the board? Honestly, might not be surprised, but yeah, 100% agree. We need more representation in Santas and a lot of other places.
No, for sure. For sure.
I don't know if you guys saw the Macy's Day Parade this
A
year.
little bit, some of it.
So Cheryl Lee Ralph was Mrs. Claus.
Oh,
And
okay.
so that was kind of a big deal because that was the first Black Mrs. Claus, right? And it's like on this like national, like TV, like what am I trying to say? Televised. There we go. Don't know what was going on. It's like everyone can see that, and so they were bringing that up, like that's a big, that's a big thing. And I actually just saw this movie that was released on Amazon, and they had well, I guess it was primarily a Black movie. It was with Eddie Murphy and what is her name?
I think I know what you're talking about.
Diana Ross's daughter. Oh,
Yeah, Tracy Ellis Ross.
Tracy?
there we go. And Santa was Black. So I enjoy seeing that. And I agree that not every time you see a Santa, they have to be Black, but I think representation is important, especially growing up. I didn't really see that, so it's cool to see it now. And for kids growing up, they can see, a little bit of themselves in these characters. So
Yeah.
pretty cool.
My eyes are open, I can't get caught in these little traps. And I don't need to burn sage because that's witchcraft. We need to stop being mad at the person. It's not the flesh, it's the spirit. We need discernment. It's scary to have it all figured out and you still don't know what's coming. If I say Jesus is coming, then people think it's funny. But all these kids believe in tooth fairies and mummies. I thought Easter was about Jesus. They replaced him with a bunny. Distractions give us more faith in Santa Claus than our Savior. How come the letters in Santa also spell Satan? If scary movies are good, then why do we fear it? Why do these stores like to call alcohol spirits? Help me understand it. The world been looking shady, I just need some answers. I'm seeing men turn into ladies, everything is backwards. The world has been deceiving us with these distractions. How did this happen? Look at this world that we live in, somebody casting spells. When we celebrate Mardi Gras, we just mask ourselves. Think I'm saying too much, am I getting past myself? Is Christmas really about Christ? Now let's just ask ourselves. Okay, God, if they not shook yet, here's the earthquake. Where in the Bible does it say was Jesus' birthday? Social media caused a lot of my worst days. Can't forget the past if we keep throwing back on Thursdays. Everyone thinking it's funny, am I the only one who don't find it amusing? Everybody be talking about purpose but don't even know what they supposed to be doing. Don't even know if they believe in Jesus. Everyone picking and choosing. I can see all of their fame and all of their money, but really they losing. But they go just say I'm hating, they think they winning. Lukewarm Christians in they feelings cause they sinning. The Holy Spirit's conviction got them offended. So let me go ahead and end it cause they won't get it. You can't win every argument trying to twist facts. Manipulation's a form of witchcraft. I had to let go of pride cause I gotta be humble. Because he who exalts himself will be humble. I'm feeling this. Hold on, I'm about to go back in cause I got a lot more to say. They're not ready for this. So actually, let me pray on that. Cut it off.